Hey guys, Waddler-D here. This is more Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U. We're going to talk about DK today, because DK is easily one of my more favorite new mains that I've been picking up lately, because there's just something about this big guy. I mean, for one thing, as you might know, is that he's relatively quick, and that he has some really great reach. Like, for a character that has no projectiles, the fact that he can reach and smack you upside the face from a very good distance is kinda nice. Definitely better than most close range characters. Now another thing that's really awesome about DK is that he is basically with a ton of KO options, as you imagine. I mean, all the burly muscles that he has going there, you can't imagine that he can knock you out 5 different ways before you can blink. And of course, you have super armor frames with a couple of his moves. Imagine it'd probably be special moves. He also has some great horizontal recovery, thanks to that whirling Kong. And last but not least, he's a great shield breaker with mainly his down B and his side B moves. And as you can finally imagine, he has a lot of good throws. But with DK, you have to understand that his horizontal or his vertical recovery is terrible. Like, absolutely terrible. Like, if Donkey Kong gets below a certain point off stage, he's dead. Especially if he doesn't have a second jump at that time. He is pretty much doomed if he doesn't make that second jump happen for him. Also, he's a big target. I mean, it makes that will make him very easy to juggle, and it just puts him at a lot of risk to get hit all the time. So you got to be careful with that. And last but not least, since he has no projectiles, his approach game is pretty limited and kind of predictable. So you have to consider those cons, because they're not small cons. They're pretty big, significant cons. Now, the thing that you definitely need to know about DK are the moves that you want to use. And honestly, DK is not going to be a character you're going to rush down with. You're going to be a character that he's going to be more of a spacing, punish, and basically grab game kind of character. Because this grab game is easily one of the best aspects about DK. Now, for one thing you definitely want to do is you want to use his jabs. His jabs are easily one of the best responses to anybody that's in your face, because they come out relatively quick, there's not a lot of lag behind it once you're done, and it just sets him up for a bunch of other things. Now, if you have people that you want to keep away, you have your down tilt and your forward tilt. Those are great spacing moves. Down tilt's a little bit better up close because you can trip up opponents and you can hit those opponents from up close or further away. Same with the forward tilt. Up tilt is somebody that's right behind you or above your head. Those are the best situations using that move, and it sets up juggles, which is what you want with DK. You want juggles. Now, if one important thing that I haven't already said like twice, grab with DK. If you don't do that, DK is doomed to lose a lot, because his grabs are easily his best things, mainly due to the fact that he has a forward throw that allows people to be put on his back and basically thrown 4 different ways. So that makes it very not easy to read, basically. Then again, the same way if you were just to grab him and pummel him. You think, oh, are you going to do the forward throw? No, he threw me up in the air. So that's basically the thing. You have a big freaking mix-up right there. Now, last but not least, you don't want to forget about DK's aerials. For instance, his neutral air is it's really good. It covers a lot of aerial space. It hits from behind and in front of him. And it comes out relatively quick, so you can use it in short hops just fine. The only thing is that it can be a little bit limited, and it can be predictable, basically. Also got the back air, which is great for spacing, and it's also one of his best off-stage tools, mainly due to the fact that he can keep people off the stage with it, but he can definitely use it on stage too, because there's a lot of basically his foot stays out for a little bit, so it's kind of like a pseudo sex kick, or a move that is meaty basically. And you also got the up air, which is great juggling. You don't want to skip on ever using this move, because if people are above your head, you have no choice but to throw out this very quick, very powerful headbutt. It doesn't have a lot of range, but it just hits hard. Now, of course, you want to keep your giant punch charge too. That's another one of his good moves, but you want to make sure it's ready to do something. And last but not least, you don't want to forget about the headbutt. It's not a move I would recommend you guys use all the time, but it's a move I would suggest throwing out once in a while, especially if the guy is a bit shield happy. Definitely a smart pressuring tool. Now, the moves you want to go for KOs is mainly, one of them is the forward smash. That's easily one of his best moves because it comes out quick. It has range, and it's a great punishing tool. So you can either hit somebody with it when they're thinking, oh, I should probably do this move. Nope, you got freaking clapped. Down smash is again another good punishing tool, and it comes out quick, and it covers both sides of DK. So if somebody's behind you, you can be sure to hit him with it. And of course, you got his meteor smashes, which are great meteor smashes. There's two of them. He has his down air, which comes out the quickest, and it's probably the most reliable. And you have the forward smash, or the forward air, that basically is an overhead double axe handle hit, which can meteor smash, but sometimes it knocks him forward. So you gotta be careful with that, but if you knock him forward, you might KO him anyway. And last but not least, you cannot forget about the giant punch. It's his strongest move, for God's sakes, and it can come out pretty quick. So it's a great punishing tool, and it's definitely great to follow up if you happen to bury somebody with the headbutt, because if you bury somebody with a headbutt, there's a good chance that if they're at 100% or more, you're going to KO them, because they won't be able to get out, for one thing, unless they are jamming like 20 different buttons. And to be honest, it's, if anything, if you can combo a bear or like a move into a giant punch, that's crazy. Now, last but not least, you don't want to forget about the back throw, the forward tilt and the up tilt, and last but not least, the whirling Kong. Those are great ways to finish an opponent off if you are at a really high percentage, because DK might not be able to get those smashes in. Now, moves you want to avoid using are up smash. It's a terrible attack. You have to literally have the person directly above your head for it to hit, and it's laggy. So don't rely on that move at all. Also, since DK has really great forward throws, all I suggest is that down throw and up throw are kind of bad, but you can use them to mix things up. That's all I would really suggest, but you want to just stick to forward throw, because it's a really, really good throw. And hand slap, I wouldn't suggest using too much, but it's definitely a good move to use to counter other approaches from other opponents, or near ledges when the opponent likes to shield a lot, because that puts them in a really bad pressure spot where they basically have to respond to it, because if they let that shield go, keep getting smacked again and again with his hand slaps, DK's gonna break it, and you know what that means. Fully charged forward smash or a giant punch to the face. Very nasty. Now, things you want to improve on with DK are spacing and zoning. DK thrives on creating space and keeping people out of his space through zoning. And that's just knowing which moves to use and which techniques will work best to counter an opponent, really. And you definitely need to consider this with projectile users. Now, another thing that I would suggest doing is pressuring opponents trying to break that shield, because DK thrives, again, on shield breaks too. Because once he breaks someone's shield, that's a free hit, and DK has a lot of powerful moves that can finish fights fast. Now, you also want to try to play DK smart, because you have to wait for openings. You have to wait for DK to basically get a good shot in. And that's pretty much the most important thing. And you definitely want to keep your throws mixed up. Because if anything, if you don't keep them mixed up, people are going to figure out, yo, you're going to do this throw. Well, I guess I'll just prepare for this. And last but not least, practice the offstage play. This is where DK gets a lot of KOs. A lot. Trust me on this. So I hope you guys learned a little bit more about this burly Kong gorilla guy, and the fact that he is not a very bad character at all. He's actually quite fun once you get to know him a little bit more. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and definitely learned a few things. Next time I think we will be talking about Little Mac, because Little Mac, I'd say, is probably the most or the least understood character in the entire roster, honestly. I mean, a lot of people use him in such a way where it's like, oh my god, really? And there's like a few that I run into that are like freaking crazy good. And generally, it's just a matter of how you play Little Mac that makes him a little bit of a contender in some ways. Because Little Mac is not a terrible character for his recovery. He's only a terrible character if you're terribly predictable with him. So that's pretty much what I'm going to feed you guys for now. So next time, Little Mac talk. Adios.